towards Africa and global visions, goals and targets for integrated water resources management and sustainable water services for everyone, everywhere in Ghana by the year 2030. In line with the above policy document, in the spirit of cooperation and collaboration, I want to assure the Jospon Group that my ministry is fully dedicated to collaborating closely with them as private sector, along with other key institutions such as ESPA and partners both home and abroad to ensure the success of the initiative. Before I conclude, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled to share that there are other ongoing efforts to decarbonize Ghana's waste sector. And one significant development in our ongoing commitment to carbon emission reduction and sustainable waste management. We deem it as a critical step in our efforts to transform waste management practices by harnessing energy from the heaps of waste across the country. And this signifies our dedication to closing the chapter on outdated, environmentally harmful practices and opening a new one that will embrace innovation, sustainability, and responsible environmental stewardship. The Ministry of Sanitation, Water Resources, and Government will continue to create an enabling environment for the private sector to thrive. The partnership with the Jospon Group of companies to establish recycling and composting facilities represents a shining example of our public-private partnership collaboration. In conclusion, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the strides we have made in waste management, particularly in recycling and composting, are characteristic of our unwavering commitment to a sustainable and resilient future. As we forge ahead, let us leverage the momentum created by these initiatives and continue to effectively collaborate and cooperate on a global scale to address the challenges and crises posed by climate change. I thank you for your audience and our collective efforts during the COP28 propel us towards a greener, brighter, and sustainable future. Thank you.
Let's do it better for Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Dr. Uda. I forgot to add the Akosia initially, Sanity Act. Akosia, thank you for those kind words. I think it's quite insightful and it's heartwarming commitments and initiatives that the ministry is coming up with, and I believe that together we will do things and all will work well. At this moment, as our minister was talking, she kept making references to PPP and public-private partnership and the collaboration with the Jospon Group of companies and other private institutions. And it's an honor for me to invite the executive chairman of the Jospon Group of companies, Dr. Joseph Siawe-Japong. Give us a few remarks, just a few remarks, and after that we'll show you a video of what is going on in the area of PPP.
The Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Dr. The Minister for Environment, Science, Innovation and Technology, Dr. Freeman, and distinguished members of Parliament, and then officials from the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, as well as Ministry of Environment, Science and Technology, and management, Jospon Group. Gentlemen, I'm very humbled this morning that through the leadership of the Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, Dr. Freeman, and Dr. Frida Brempe, the Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, through their hard work and effort, and then the Switzerland government were able to sign on 4 compost and recycling plants that will be able to have a carbon trading of about 1.5 million tons. We are very humbled because the company began with a tricycle, a manual tricycle. We never thought of going this far, but through the leadership of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, President Nana Akufo-Addo, and the shortcutting of these plans in the year 2020 has evolved to get to this level. And it shows the commitment of leadership of this country done and then the collaborative effort in the private sector. What I humbly want to pledge as the chairman of the group is that I've informed my manager that this money of 20 million is not a cheap money. And so anybody who will disturb us for truncating for us not to get even 1% of it, we will deal with you. Seriously. Because this money, you are not going to, you are just going to comply with emission, maintain, and that, and get it. You don't want to work for it. So, we are trying to commit such a department, and we want to work very seriously on that to make sure that we are compliant with the system, so that we don't even default. That Ghana generates about 18,000 tons of waste. And to get 1.5 a day, 18,000 tons a day. So if you want a month, is about 468,000 tons. So if you want 1.5, it's 3 months. If you are able to mass all the waste in Ghana, it's 3 months. And so lion is in every village. So bringing all these 3 months waste together, I don't think it's a difficult project. We can even go by 8 months to get about 3 million and 4 million. And so while this money is coming, we will all work day and night and collect every waste from every house. We bring it so that we can make the 1.5 million and even over. We want to thank the ministers that are here, and we want to pledge that they should use JOSCOM as a window. We have head of the REID, the GH REID, and the cocoa forest and other. I'm going to sit down with my father, Dr. Sophie, who has the portfolio of, we've heard about 1,500,000,000, and all is passing through his corridor. So we are going to sleep there now. I'm going to get a small office at the Ministry of the Environment, and then every day, every morning, I'll just be at his feet to tell me how much we have there. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, honorable ministers, my wife just arrived in the conference room, and I want to acknowledge the presence of Metu Ejapon, and he just arrived. I have to acknowledge them because we know, as for women, if you don't acknowledge them, you might have some serious consequences. On this note, I want to thank you very much for the audience. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dupont. It's always fun being around you. And I think when Chairman was acknowledging everybody, we forgot to mention EPA. EPA has played a key role, major role in this journey. And I don't think it was an oversight. And I'm sure if I call him back, it will be a whole dossier. So I want to do that on his behalf. We want to appreciate every institution that helped in making this project a success. I know this is about sanitation, but the Minister of Environment, because of last 2 days' event, wants to say just a few words, and then we'll take it up from there. So.
Thank you very much. And let me say that congratulate just one group of companies for this. Actually, I asked for this segment, might not be on it. But just to let Ghanaians have a view about what Nestle does. I've always said that Nestle is the offensive midfielder of Ghana's governance system. Apparently, you won't see us doing anything, but we are enablers. We enable water and sanitation to do this. We enable energy to do that. red flags will enable is because after the rule book was signed from the various COPs, there was an American president who literally threw the rule book out. But after a new government came in, we woke up to the fact that we have to act fast. Ghana was the second country in the world to complete its national framework. And in fact, the first in Africa. That paved the way for all these things to happen without getting our national framework together. And then we did that together with EPA and my Directorate of Environment. So we make things happen. I thought I should let the whole people know. So Mercy is not exactly a sexy ministry, but I guess things that. But why I even asked for this podium is not the way to explain things, but to say that if you want the mitigation, if you want the adaptation action done, and even the what do you call it, loss and damage, all those financial things to flow, we have to get the private sector involved. The real McCoy for global action on climate is with private sector, not with governments. That is why I congratulate just one group of companies for their pioneering effort. They will be the trailblazer for other countries to follow. Because if we do not act with private entities, we will not unlock the potential money. If governments are helping us with millions, the Swiss government, you cannot imagine the amount of money that is sitting up in the private sector. And some of them are actuated by the do-good factor. They are companies or entities in the private sector. But the thing is that there must be transparency, there must be ethical issues that have to be assessed. For example, the ITMOs that we are going to do. Mercy will have to make sure that double count, there's no double counting, and so many issues. So we make sure we've got a very technical division in Mercy, which takes account of all that. When you come, you contact either Director Jerry or EPA Chief Director, I saw him, what is it? Dr. Okufu or Mr. Benefo, Dr. Benefo, you will get any of them, they will give you the real lowdown on how these things work. Actually, when I became a minister, I even had to be on the learning curve for a little while before I got into all these things. But to end a long story, I will say that that is our remit here. That is why I'm very happy to participate in this thing. And we have followed the trajectory of this climate action. And it looks like Ghana is at the forefront. We have another way of making sure that the private sector, and just one is in some sense our international, what do you call it, company, the transnational company of some sort. I urge you to consider setting up shop even in the developed world. Their markets are open to you. And I'm sure with that kind of endeavor, you bring a lot of expertise, glory, and even cash to Ghana. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister. In fact, those words actually called for an amen, not just a clap. And when Minister was talking, he mentioned COP, and I was just saying in my head that if you say COP and you don't add 28, then I go to Church of Pentecost, because because the executive chairman himself is the presiding elder of the Church of Pentecost. So whenever I hear COP, Church of Pentecost comes to mind before the 28 follows. Anyway, thank you very much for this. Thank you. We want to have a short video of the PPP and how things have unveiled up to this time.
converting over 1,000 of our waste collection trucks from fossil fuel to electric vehicles, the Jospon Group contributes to a cleaner and greener transportation system.
We collect the waste using trucks powered by fossil fuel. And these produce, in our estimation, over 1,000 fleets would contribute over 400,000 metric tons, powering it with clean energy. And by doing so, what it is that we are reducing the emission and promoting healthy environment.
The group's initiative to foster sustainability and build a green environment is a commendable effort that reflects the organization's commitment to environmental responsibility. The generation of substantial carbon credits from various subsidiaries and initiatives underscores the group's dedication to reducing its carbon footprint and contributing to a more sustainable future, majorly in the provision of 360 degrees waste management solutions.
I'm very happy to be here this afternoon to cut the sword for the commencement of construction of an integrated recycling and compost plan being established by the Jospon Group and its partners in collaboration with government. That the plant will receive, sort and process the production of organic compost for horticultural and agronomical purposes, reduce the high rate of plastic pollution, and the processing of recyclable fractions of the total waste, such as paper, plastic, and metal for reuse.
Jospon Group has established several integrated recycling and compost plants to improve recycling in the country. Organic waste is turned to compost to serve agriculture sector and improve greening, serving as carbon sinks in Ghana. With support from government and our partners, these 16 plants that has been mounted in all the 16 regions of the country is going to solve about 60% of waste in Ghana is going to be recycled by the end of year 2022. This will further reduce the crude dumping, burning of waste, and the uncontrolled emission of greenhouses in Ghana.
The concept of the integrated recycling and compost plants plays a pivotal role in the waste management sector. By converting organic waste into compost and recovering recyclable materials, the facility not only minimizes the environmental impact of waste, but also promotes sustainable agricultural practices.
As waste management leaders in Ghana and beyond, we are not just offering solutions for waste management, but we go beyond that in providing the cutting-edge technologies in treating the waste in a much more environmentally friendly manner. By so doing, we cut down emissions drastically.
It is notable that just 4 of our plants, we save the planet 1.592 million tons of carbon dioxide emitted into this environment.
The generation of carbon credits from these initiatives is a noteworthy achievement. By generating substantial carbon credits, the Jospon Group not only demonstrates its commitment to environmental sustainability, but also has the opportunity to reinvest in further green initiatives or offset emissions in other areas.
We believe that all these point to the fact that we are forceful, we are a force to reckon with when it comes to the sustainability agenda.
As the world grapples with environmental challenges, the Jospon Group's efforts serve as a reminder that businesses can be at the forefront of positive change. The sustainability initiatives undertaken by the group aligns with global efforts to combat climate change, protect ecosystems, and create a more sustainable and green future for all.
So there's so much going on. So if you are here and you've not been studying of the, when you get to Ghana, please make it a point to go and visit that. Now, before we introduce the panel, we want to have a photo session with the ministers, Honorable Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, and Honorable Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation. And please, let's have some photo sessions. Where are the photographers? Gotcha. Good morning. Thank you very much for being here. It's going to be a brief session, very relevant, succinct, and impactful. And so I'm going to call my panel to come quickly. Dr. Benefo from UPA. Yes, quite incidental. In the regulatory space that we work in, then I'll call Mr. Nwajima from the Just Group of Companies. And also Mr. P.P. Boedi from the Sanitation Industry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, panel members. You're welcome. You're welcome to this a wonderful day for Sanitation Ministry, to have our day and discuss the issues in the sector. Our focus today is on investments in the sector, its attraction, its utilization, its relationship with sustainability. And so I'll go straight to allowing my panelists to introduce themselves. As you introduce yourself, please state your name and your mandate so that the discussion will know the context in which to place you.
Right, so my name is Fifi Wedi from the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources. And with our ministry, our mandate has two clear focus: to provide policy formulation for the environmental sanitation sector and then also for the water sector. Thank you.
My name is Daniel Benefo, and I work for the EPA, the climate change unit. And our mandate in this conversation is simple: is to unlock climate finance to support investment in the waste sector. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Noah Jima. I'm the Chief Investment Officer for Just One Group of Companies, and my mandate is to ensure that we can commercialize our waste efforts in a way that is attractive to receive development finance and carbon credit or any of the sustainable finance opportunities that are out there.
Thank you very much. I'll start off with the Ministry of Sanitation. Fifi, you don't mind I call you Fifi? Yes. In what ways is the ministry aligning its initiatives to the climate mitigation and adaptation agenda that we have ahead of us?
All right, thank you. So I'll be very brief about this. Currently, as we speak, in the updated nationally determined contributions, the ministry has some clear priority areas in these NDCs. One of them is actually on the alternative waste technologies, of which the integrated waste recycling and compost plants, which we witnessed the authorization for the Intimos transfer just 2 days ago, and it comes under. We also have one on landfill gas harnessing. There is also one on water resources, which mostly is an adaptation. Then there is another on the energy efficient motors for providing water services to households and communities. And so as we speak, these are the footprints of the sector in the updated nationally determined contributions. However, we are proud to say that our ministry is the first to have taken the step collaboratively with NESTI and EPA to begin some sector discussions as to making some amendments into the NDCs when the window opens in 2025. And we are looking forward to amending and adding on some few priority areas that are relevant to our sector in the NDC. So this, for me, will be the few things I'd like to say within how our ministry is aligning its policies into the climate space.
Dr. Benefo, still in the space of the mandate, I want you to tell us how we know that EPA has been pivotal in the carbon markets approach related to the Article 6.2. And we want to know how you envisage that will stimulate moving forward.
Thank you. But we need to put this in a very big context. And here's the context: that the waste sector in Ghana, from where we sit, has seen a lot of improvements. And if you look at it very carefully in the last 20 years, you realize that one very important policy effort that the Ministry of Sanitation had pushed is the involvement of the private sector in introducing efficiency and innovation in the entire waste value chain. So the coming on board of climate finance is to further stimulate innovation in financing the entire waste management value chain. And therefore, the carbon finance is one of the instruments that is available for you to be able to enhance innovation and investment in the sector. And with the leadership of the Minister of Environment, what we have put in place is a clear framework to allow companies like JustPon or any other institution to be able to unlock carbon finance in areas like that are having about 4 impacts, right? First one is about how we can use carbon finance to unlock job creation, green jobs, how we can do that to enhance investment, how do we improve air quality, public health. So investing in better waste management is not only about climate, it's also about the core benefits to other sectors. And that to us is a very important focus of climate action and how it can benefit local people. Thank you.
Yes. You know that just one group as a brand has been a pace setter in the just one group has green space. And I want you to tell us some of the initiatives that have gone in this space, what has put you on the map.
Great question, and thank you again, Abena. As we saw in the video, if you look at the value chain of waste, almost every activity that we carry through have either a mitigation point or an adaptation point. So for instance, if you look at transfer stations that we've invested in, you cut down the time, the distance you travel in cutting waste, right? So transfer station investments are bridges between collection points and potentially landfills or recycling plants by reducing the waste emission as you travel along. Then from there, you talk about the actual composting or the recycling plants. Within that, the investments that are required are always in line with what we intend to do in reducing emission. Then we're talking about adaptation of technology that allow you to be able to do all that. One of our ICT branches or subsidiaries has been able to develop a mechanism by which the landfill tracking could be done in such a way that, in fact, it is one of those innovative ideas that are coming. So that is an adaptation. Then you're talking about the composting, the cycle, the recycling, all the way to composting, to a point where you are adapting fertilizer the organic way that, in other words, not only the methane emission that we have reduced by getting to the point of composting, but now you are adopting the right method in farming, to Dr. Benego's point. So it's a cyclical process by which every investment at each point is either mitigating or you are adopting a new way by which the environment could be reclaimed or could be reused. They will talk about landfill. A lot of landfill, we are aware of the gas emissions there, but even that one, being able to remediate them, go a long way in helping to be able to put us on the map. Then we talk about some of our facilities of dredge masters that is able to dredge, right? Completely releasing waterways, which in other words, if you have the ability to do that, then you're preventing flood. Now we are into agri, right? We've started the process. Dr. Benego is aware that the moment we started our rice research, one of the key things we are looking at, what are some of the mitigation or adaptation factors, and we've already researched into situations like alternate wetting and drying, where you aren't flowing the water to a point where you are causing drought, but actually you are releasing at the point that it prevents the holding of water, and then also making sure that you are not releasing CO2. So every aspect of our operation look into climate mitigation or adaptation.
Thank you very much. Dr. Benego, I'll come to you since the ministry mostly has spoken, or you are the standard setting entity for the government. How have you been able to create awareness about the ministry? I mean, we've had the experience for different climate change Compost. Now, we need to look for investments to support initiatives in this space. How has the ministry, through its agency, created awareness for private sector companies that will come into the space to be aware of all these standards, what the requirements are, and all the other legislation?
Thank you. Let me start with this point that Mr. Noah alluded to, that we have not only helped to evaluate the potential in terms of how much carbon assets we can create, or carbon asset itself is a new stream of revenue for businesses. So what we have done in the first place is to go over the calculation of estimating what are the potentials in the sector. And it is based on the fact that the waste sector accounts for about 17% of the total emissions of Ghana. It means that we are also able to address climate change by focusing on over 17% of the solution stays with the sector. That's the first part. The second part is how much of it that we can use to be able to unlock investments. So we have done that as well. And thirdly, we have also provided the procedure that companies can follow to be able to monetize their carbon assets.
So the companies know that's the awareness creation.
So that's why I'm coming. So with this, it's a first step. Then the next step is how to then create or socialize these very important information. So the first thing we do is to work with associations. So we work with associations to create that awareness, right? And then number two, of course, is to enhance our collaboration with research and academia. Because believe you me, once money is involved, then there is higher scrutiny. We are expected to ensure that there's transparency, there's evidence, and very importantly, there's trust. So to answer your question, we try to work with associations and also work with academia. And above all, what we are seeking to do more is to engage the public. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Ministry of Sanitation, PP. And how is the ministry positioned to collaborate multi-sectorially? I think on Saturday we realized that this is not a messy issue and sanitation issue. So how are you collaborating with other ministries or sectors to achieve the shared goal of achieving the global extended at 1.5 billion?
Great. So the first point is we need to first understand the complex nature of the services that are needed within the sector. And with that understanding, if you look at the Ghana Wash Sector Development Program, if you look at the environmental sanitation sector, environmental sanitation policy, and if you look at all the relevant strategies and plans that we have, you see at the heart of it, it's really about deepening our collaboration with allied institutions, agencies, organizations, development partners, and CSOs. And clearly you will see that when it comes to the front of circularity, we have a lot of collaboration with Ministry of Environment. When it comes to even the utilization of compost, one area we are deepening our relationship is with the Ministry of Agri, so that the compost that are produced from the agricultural for instance, are actually, have some readily available markets for them to be utilized. Other than that, if you're not having the products move, then by creating more products wouldn't really serve well. Also, if you look at in the light of waste to energy, which is not really known in our country for many reasons, there are serious collaborations with MESTI again and even Ministry of Energy, how to put the necessary policies and frameworks in place to ensure that entities that are interested in venturing into this field are actually guided and they're able to do the right thing.
Thank you. And not the last one, not the least. Sajima, I know that the response of the ministry is out on the market looking for investments. Tell us the type of investments you're looking for and what hurdles you have to overcome.
Right. Thank you very much. So the type of investment we are looking for, at least we've tried, one is the carbon credits, as we discussed. But we're also looking at Green Climate Fund, which mostly is there's a grant system. It's a combination of grants and lending or what we call the concessionary loans. That you need to have projects that are bankable. In one example is the EV project. So because of the heavy investment that is required and the infrastructure that you need to build, typically you may want to have some upfront funds to be able to initiate the project. And so those are the things that we are looking at. We're also looking at long-term DFI, development finance, because most commercial loans are all short horizons, 3-5 years, but these projects are long-term. So the ability to be able to attract development finance is very, very critical. And what we are doing is building the framework so that ESG policy, for instance, give us a framework within which we work. So we hope that from next year, we start producing our ESG reports, which is a selling tool by itself, because a lot of private equity firms or PE firms that look for companies with a framework and ability to report because of transparency that these are the activities that we're doing. And so we are transitioning from just doing corporate social responsibility to actually going into ESG, and that is where commercialization comes in. Because the framework that we have and the ability to gain access into this prepare us to go now going into the various spaces that we are. Even if it is going to be commercial from somewhere, we're targeting typical PE firms that have affinity to invest in projects like this. Thank you very much.
I'm going to give everyone 1.5. We are working towards 1.5 degrees Celsius. 1.5 minutes to give me the final thoughts.
All right, so I'll say this. I think yesterday we signed the authorization statement for between Ghana and the Switzerland government. What we want to focus on is how to turn this authorization into concrete implementation leading to delivery of carbon credit for payments. That is our marching orders from here. So we are going to work closely with the ministry and just want to do all the necessary things to be able to facilitate implementation of the project and also have an ambitious schedule to deliver our first carbon asset sometimes in the course of the year. That is our immediate focus. We are also, in our pipeline, we have about 34 projects. There are 2 of them that are also looking beyond Compost. So again, we are also going to work with colleagues that are looking into waste to energy and see how best we can also advance that as well. Thank you.
So for us, from the Ministry of Sanitation, one thing we clearly understand is to be able to have quality compost, you need to be able to segregate at source. And that is not an endeavor that can be done by the private sector. That is an endeavor that behoves on us as a ministry to lead. And so it's one of the things that we are actually currently working towards, and we are going to do that closely with all the relevant stakeholders to ensure that we are able to do this source segregation, and by so doing, the material streams that get to the plant are able to produce better byproducts as well. So that would be.
Thank you. And last but not least, just want to talk from you.
I would like to talk about collaboration and the efforts that have been put in by this. Please, let's put our hands together for them, because without EPA, without Dr. Benefo and others, we couldn't have been here. And it's also to recognize that we live in an ecosystem. And for us to be able to unlock more financing, it has to be, because a lot of this financing, unless it goes through a government entity or an NDA, we would not be able to access it. But for Just One, we will continue to invest. We promise everyone that whatever is coming, as Chairman has said, it is to reinvest in new technology, in research, to be able to come up with new solutions that will help and propel the country, not only in this sector, but overall the economy of Ghana. As we do this, we are also employing new people, training and upscaling to be able to now solve critical problems and challenges in the country. And that is our back that we give back to the society. Thank you very much for the time.
Thank you. Thank you all for your time. I want to, at this point, thank the committee. There was a committee set up by the minister. Thank you, the committee, for helping put together the Sanitation Day. I hope this has been impactful, short though it has been, but we are definitely coming back. COP 29 to give you better. Thank you very much for your time.